This entire military is one cohesive, dedicated force. And the threats to our nations, they don't sleep. They're watching our every move. Iran, Russia, China, North Korea, ISIS, Al-Qaeda. They may be watching this right now. Our military should not be mistaken for a cable news gabfest show. We don't care what you look like. We don't care who you voted for, who you worship, what you worship, who you love. It doesn't matter if your dad left you millions when he died or if you knew who your father was. We have been honed into a machine of lethal moving parts that you would be wise to avoid if you know what's good for you. We will not be intimidated. We will not back down. We don't want war. But if you want war with the United States of America, there's one thing I can promise you, so help me God. Someone else will raise your sons and daughters.
Opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent.
Find us on the web at mbradio.us.
Let's face it, life after service ain't always easy. Far too many veterans continue to struggle in silence. But you don't have to fight this battle alone, because we are here to help. This ain't no group therapy. It's the after party to the battle. Full speed ahead, after battle. Real talk, real stories, no BS.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back this week with another episode of Full Speed Ahead After Battle. I am your host, as always, Josh McKay. Today is November 10th, so that does mean one thing, that tomorrow is Veterans Day. So happy shout out, salute, whatever, to all of my other brothers and sisters out there who are either still serving or have served, all of our veterans. Thank you for what you do. This week is tomorrow's for you, this week, this whole month. You know, really this whole year is for you, but I know there's a lot of events going on this week. So happy Veterans Day to everybody. However, I guess we got to address that elephant in the room. If tomorrow is Veterans Day, that can only mean one thing, that today is the Marine Corps birthday, and they are turning 250 years old along with the Navy and the Army. So happy birthday to all of my devil dog, crayon eating, knuckle dragging Marines out there. Y'all have a good one. Try not to drink too much. I know you're going to. That's what y'all do. Plenty of cake. Just don't get the cake mixed up with the crayons, guys. Watch out for that. So happy birthday to y'all. Happy birthday to everybody else coming up. So what has been going on this last week? I guess, we don't talk much politics on the show. However, I will point out that it looks like the government is open again for business. Thank God that that's finally over with. So our, service members, everybody else, they can get back to work, getting paid, snaps back on. So all that's going. This is the longest government shutdown in the history of the United States. Again, we don't do much politics on here. However, waste of time, in my opinion. So I'll leave it at that. What have we been doing the last week? Last week, this past weekend has been very busy, very interesting. As I'm sitting around relaxing with my wife on Friday afternoon, we get a text that, there's an abandoned puppy running around in a neighborhood not too far from us. And we kind of been discussing getting another one. We just weren't sure what we're going to do. We're down to 2 dogs now. We had 3 that one we lost about a year ago or 2 years ago now to cancer. So we just weren't sure if we were ready. However, this one came along and it was, the exact same story as the one that we had lost, unfortunately. Turns out a family was evicted from their trailer home, and they left this dog. It was a Great Pyrenees out in the yard, chained up, no food, no water. to me, that's despicable. I don't know how you do that to animals. We went out there and, for 2 years old, he's at 90 pounds. We found out today with the vet. Everything's looking great except for, obviously fleas and ticks and whatnot from being out in the yard for that long. But the biggest, gentlest teddy bear you could ever ask for, and that's why we've called him Bear. Great big white Pyrenees dog. So we're happy to have him. He's getting along great with our dogs. He's getting fed twice a day, water all he wants, inside, outside, a little bit skittish at the time, but he's taken to the home, and we're happy because in this household, we're not the ones that we go spend $2,000, $3,000, $5,000 on a dog. We would rather rescue them because that's, those are the ones that need the homes. They're, those are the ones that need the love, and that's what pulls at our heartstrings. Sometimes a lot of our veterans are that way. They're kind of discarded, and we need somebody to look out for them as well. So we did that Friday night. We got home, gave him a good flea bath and cleaned him up, and dude passed out most of the night and into the next day. So he's doing great. The next day, my VFW, post 10374 here in Fort Worth, just off of 287 near Hazlitt. We had the inaugural Hazlitt Veterans Day celebration out there. We had Mayor Holsey come out, our post commander, a few other of our veterans. We had a gentleman by the name of Andrew Hudson. He also goes by Tank Gunner. He was from Vietnam. He came out and spoke. He's an accomplished author. He gave us, several books, a good speech. We had people from the Tarrant Sheriff's Posse come out. Another local Miles for Hope. I want to push them out. They were great. These people work with the animal control in cities around North Texas, taking in those discarded or left back animals, and so they brought a lot of their dogs out for adoption that day. I think if we didn't find Bear on Friday, we probably would have picked up one on Saturday because we were kind of talking about that. But anyways, Irreverent Warriors came out. Texas Veterans Commission came out as well, gave out a lot of great information. We had, I would say, I would consider it a packed house for a first event. A lot of people out there. It was great to see, very patriotic. The city even lined the Veterans Park and their community park with a lot of American flags. And so overall, it was a great day. Sunday, we kind of relaxed, played with a new dog and got used to him. And here we are on Monday. And so before we get into our story today, I got to remind everybody, if you don't mind, please like, share, subscribe, either this Facebook page, MB Radio Facebook page, Full Speed Ahead Facebook page, Full Speed Ahead YouTube, or you can find me on Instagram, Josh McCabe817. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all that. That way, these messages get out to our veterans all across the nation. Because it could be one of these discussions that they hear that keeps them moving on. Last week, my guest was William Villafranco. He's a philanthropist, and if you remember, he works with the Tolman Foundation. Somebody heard his story on this show, and they left a comment on the YouTube channel, and it almost turned them around or gave them a new sense of purpose to keep going forward. And so that's what this show is all about, right? We are here to talk about that transition from the service to the civilian world is one of the leading causes in veteran suicide. And as I tell you every day or every show, 22 veterans commit suicide every day, right? That means within the next hour of the show, more than likely one veteran will commit suicide in the time of the show. And so that's what we're here to help, is put that message out there, bring awareness to veteran suicide, but also the mental health aspect of it, because they really go hand in hand, And so there's a lot of factors that, a lot of things that factor into the suicide, the mental health aspect. My focus is on transition, because coming out of the service is probably one of the hardest things that you'll ever do as a veteran, is figuring out how to live on your own, how to move on your own, how to basically redo everything. Then you're the one making the decisions and not the leadership that's making those decisions for you. So a lot of our guests and our topics in our, Monday episodes, they get a little deep. Sometimes they get a little emotional, a little dark, because let's face it, Nobody wants to talk about veteran suicide or suicide in general. Mental health is also a touchy subject. A lot of people don't want to talk about any of that. So sometimes our conversations, they get a little heavy, right? And undoubtedly so. This week, though, we're going to lighten it up a little bit because I've got a guest on today that has traveled this country. He's putting on shows. He is an award-winning comedian. He's a country music recording artist. He's got a couple of albums out. He's got a brand new song out that he just released the last couple of days. That is, I think, and I love music, and I wouldn't put it out there if I didn't like it, but he's got a very good new song out, and hopefully we can get him to play that on the show tonight. Push that out for Veterans Day for all of our veterans out there. So without further ado, we're going to have this week's interview of the week. And when I come back, I'm going to bring on Kountry Mike, and we'll talk a little bit more about how he got that name. All right.
The interview of the week is brought to you by Jersey Mike's, a sub above.
All right, Mike, welcome to the show, brother. How you doing?
Josh, I'm doing well. Thank you for having me on. And can I heard the intro. I heard your monologue. Can we talk a little bit about suicide? Because I raise money for Stop Soldier Suicide. Okay. Mm-hmm. So yeah, how I got involved with them is I've been raising money for veterans for a while. I actually had a podcast way back when, and I had quite a few listeners across the globe, and people were like, you should align yourself with a charity. And I thought about it. I was thinking like MS Society, American Cancer Society, American Heart Association. I didn't know which one I wanted to do it, but it was a great idea. And I thought, I do want to do that. I want to partner with the charity. And so as I'm contemplating that, somebody says veterans. And when I said veterans, I was like, oh, I'm in. I'm totally in. All my family, they're all veterans. And so I'm out of Utica, New York. I travel the country. And so in Utica, they have a Veterans Outreach Center, which I think it's very cool. And so, and they help with that process, Josh, of getting people matriculated back into society, right? Because there's a support system going in to the military, but there's no support system coming out of the military, which there needs to be that, okay? Our government, the armed forces, the American Legions, Marine Corps Leagues, VFWs, the AMVETS, they all need to join together and have a support system coming out. And so I scheduled a couple weekend shows. I brought some comedians in from New York City. We raised some good money for them. And then, I just love the cause, man. I've been doing it doing comedy for 13 years. I did the country music a couple years ago. And so all of my shows now, I stopped doing comedy clubs. I stopped doing casinos, theaters. My focus solely is on veterans fundraisers. And I raise money for all the different posts that I go to. I give them a large portion of the ticket sales. 60% of the ticket sales goes to the post. And then 20% of my merchandise, I know you remember the VFWs, so we'd love to talk to your VFW about doing a comedy show fundraiser for them. I got merchandise. Veterans are superheroes. It goes with my song Superheroes. I got the shirt, beautiful shirt. I almost broke into Donald Trump there. Beautiful shirt, so beautiful. Veterans are superheroes. And from my website, countrymike.com, country with a K, K-O-U-N-T-R-Y, Mike.com. 20% of all the sales and my album sales benefits an organization out of Raleigh, North Carolina called Stop Soldier Suicide. They offer free services. And literally, I did a show Saturday night in Connecticut. It was for the Freedom Riders. And all the merch, I count everything up. I take 20% of it, and then I go right on the Stop Soldier Suicide .org website, and I just donate. And so if you want to get a great hat, great shirt, go to countrymike.com. You want to hear my album, it's got Superheroes on it, track number 8. I will play Superheroes. It is Veterans Day tomorrow. Or you can click on a link on my site that actually goes, and you can just donate whatever you want. Any amount, as you know, Josh, with a fundraiser, any amount helps. Okay. It could be $5, but there's a link. It says donate to Stop Soldier Suicide. You click on it, you can donate directly to them without having to buy merchandise, but it is pretty cool merch, and Camel was in.
Awesome. Well, that sounds like you're doing great. So let's go back a little bit. You're not a veteran yourself, but as we talked before, your father, your brothers, everybody. So, let's talk about that a little bit. What was it like, growing up in a military family with all those, family members serving, and just, share a little bit about that experience.
Yeah. So my dad was an MP. He was initially stationed in Denver, Colorado, but he got out of the service, and my hometown is Watertown, New York. It's the home of Fort Drum, 10th Mountain Division. Shout out to Fort Drum. And so my sister married a guy that was, he was an Army guy. Then they moved down to Fayetteville, North Carolina, Fort Bragg, 82nd Airborne, Green Beret. And my brother-in-law was Air Force stationed at Wright-Patterson in Dayton, Ohio. I used to visit them all the time, would go on base and all that. I just thought it was so freaking cool, And so I was this close, Josh, okay, to going into the Army. All right, this is what happened. Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, I grew up in the worst section of my city. We were all derelicts growing up, okay? And so one of my friends had this idea. He's like, why don't we let's go talk to the Army recruiter, right? So there's like 6 of us. So we go there, talk to the recruiter. He says, you got to take an ASVAB test and all that. And okay, so we take the ASVAB test. And I don't know how the ASVAB test is now, Josh, but there's one section on that test where it's like a 3-minute math section, okay? And it's really simple. 3 times 8, 4 plus 3, whatever that is. So there's 100 questions. Yeah. You got 3 minutes to do it. My brother-in-law warned me about it. He goes, listen, don't mix up the symbols. Don't take a minus sign for a division sign, whatever. And so I'm buzzing through this. I was good in math, in school, and I'm buzzing through it. I got it done about a minute and a half. And I look over, and my friends are kind of like, and I'm like, oh my God, they're like counting on their fingers. And I said, if they take off the shoes, they're counting on their toes, So I'm like, they're gonna fail this section, right? So after the test, the recruiter sits us all down. He goes, I'm the last one in line. He says to my friends, he goes, you failed, you failed, you failed, you failed, you failed. Mike, you passed. He goes, actually, you qualify for all 300 jobs the Army has to offer. And so I thought medical specialist, which my brother-in-law he was a lab tech in the Air Force, and then I thought telecommunications, right? I'd seen like war games and stuff, and I'm like, oh, it's gonna be like war games and all that, right? So I take the physical. I'm in Syracuse, New York, at the recruiting center, and getting ready to be sworn in, like literally getting ready to be sworn in off the basic training. So he goes, there's a delay. Do you want to see your jobs? We got videos and all that stuff. I go, yeah. So I'm looking at the job, man. Medical specialist is the first one. My mom said, she thought I'd make a nice doctor, get bedside manner and all that. And
they all say that, right?
Yeah. You'd make a nice doctor, right? So we're sitting there. Yeah. And the movie that was shown to me, dude, made Saving Private Ryan look like Boys Town. Okay. Yeah. I'm looking over. I'm thinking, is this raw footage? What is this? And the recruiter, he was kind of like a Hulk Hogan dude. I look over. He's got like a tear running down his cheek, and he's like, I love this movie, brother. And I said, it showed 2 guys carrying a guy in a stretcher. They ran into the picture, ran out of the picture, and I'm like, I hope I'm not the guy in the stretcher, right? So I said, sir, can I ask you a question? I go, which one am I? Which person am I? He says, you're one of the guys carrying the guy in the stretcher, brother. And I said, can I see my other job, the telecommunications specialist? He pops that one in there. Same movie, war movie. Pans around to a guy behind a tree on this big this big communications device, whatever. And he's screaming something. You can't hear. There's no subtitles, whatever. Probably get me the heck out of here, right? So I look over. He's got like another tear running down his cheek. He's like, I love this movie too, brother. And I said, listen, sir, I'm going to take this one, okay? I qualified for all 300 jobs the Army has to offer. Let me take this one. I'm the guy behind the tree, right? He goes, that's right, brother. I said, yeah, take me home, man. He's like, excuse me? I said, take me home. sir, no disrespect, I think I just crapped my pants. Okay. So in my song, Superheroes, that I believe was given to me by God, I actually started writing a song in my sleep, played the music for it. I heard a voice say, "This is for veterans and troops." And I said, if that's the case, I need the words. And the lyrics started to flow. Yeah. But part of my song is the bravest of the brave. And really what I mean by that is, listen, firefighters, brave. Okay. Yeah. Thank them so much for the service. Police officers, brave. Okay. Serve and protect. Right. Thank you, Blue. But the bravest of the brave are the guys that sign their life. They basically they turn their life over to the military. And what happens. You know, those are the bravest of the brave, man.
Right. Yeah. 100%. So let's talk about it. At the top of the show, you know, I said a lot of talk about veteran suicide, mental health, which, you know, you raise a lot of funds for. It gets kind of dark and heavy, right? And so sometimes I like to throw some humor in there because that's what the military world lives off of, right? We have to have that humor to get us through every day. So how did you get into you know, comedy and being a comedian and traveling and all that? How did that come to you?
Yeah, so I always loved comedy, but I grew up a stutterer, had a huge fear of public speaking. If somebody would have told me way back when that you're going to be a comedian, I would have said, yeah, you're crazy. So God has a sense of humor. Actually, what happened was I was watching, my wife and I went down to Albany, New York. We're going to watch a comedian and do a comedy show and all that stuff. We drove an hour and a half away just to catch a comedy show, all right? Something just off the wall to do. My wife saw it online or whatever. And so I said, you know, she goes, you know, you should get a haircut. So I'm at the mall, I'm getting a haircut. And the lady goes, where are you from? I said, Utica. She's like, you drove to Albany to get your haircut, you know? And I said, no. I said, we're going to see a comedy show. So she says, my son is in New York City trying to be a comedian. And in my mind, Josh, I thought, that is crazy. I would never do that. That is nuts. And God has a sense of humor. He's like, really? You never do that? And then about a month later, I'm on a comedy stage doing that show for the veterans. And I'm like, this is nuts. You just never know sometimes, man, with life, right? It's just like, you know, sometimes you speak something into the air. Well, first of all, my advice to people is never say never, okay? I'll never be a millionaire, okay?
Well, that's pushing it.
Throw that out there. I'll never be a millionaire. Oh, really? Okay, so, but never say never. You just never know what's going to happen. I mean, life is so funny, Josh, sometimes, right? You could have the crappiest day one day, and the next day it's like things are just clicking. It's like, interesting. So my philosophy with life is like, I try not to live my life on a roller coaster, because it can be a roller coaster. This is what I equate marriage to be. You're married.
Yeah.
This is what I say in my comedy show. Marriage is like a never-ending roller coaster ride. Okay, think about it. You got your ups, you got your downs, you got your rounds. Yeah. Occasional loop-de-loop, and sometimes you scream, and sometimes you throw up. Okay.
Yep.
And so life is a roller coaster sometimes, and it's just like you just never know what's going to happen from one day to the next. You know, and I want to live my life just believing things are going to work out somehow, some way. Things are going to just work out, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, that happens to me all the time. You know, I'm a big believer in whatever happens, meant to be for a reason, right? And that's kind of how I fell into podcasting and everything. Because it just happened to be a guest on a show or two, and then had the opportunity, and here we are with it. And so, you know, it's amazing how just random things happen sometimes, and sometimes they work out for the best. Sometimes not so much, and you just, you know, learn from it and you move on. But, you know, luckily you've fallen into comedy. It's looks like it's turned out good for you. And then you mix in country music with it, right? And so you've got like a musical comedy show, which I know there's a few of those going around, and I know there's one, I can't remember the name of it, but it's a group of veterans that do comedy. And I can understand why, because a lot of the stories that we would tell from our time in service, people would never believe that it would ever happen in a million years. Right. A lot of our stuff is like, it's so crazy that you can only laugh at it. That's the only thing to do. And so, you know, so what kind of, I guess, what kind of comedy do you do? I know like stand-up music, but
Yeah.
what is it kind of focused around?
So I'm observational.
Okay.
A lot of it's observational. I'll give you an example. So, my wife and I were having ice cream. We took my mother-in-law out for ice cream, and my wife's not having ice cream. She's watching her sugar intake. So my mother-in-law says, well, your kid had just had sherbet, right? So we tell her, we're like, Mom, you know that sherbet has twice the sugar as ice cream. She's like, she gets all mad, She's like, well, that's what they gave Grandma in the nursing home every night before bed, and Grandma had diabetes. And I'm like, Mom, Grandma died, okay? You think maybe the sherbet did her in, So now, because I'm a conspiracy theorist, Josh, so I'm thinking, you know what? Sherbet is America's silent killer. Think about it, right? How many times you read the obituaries? What does it say? It says died unexpectedly. Sherbet, And so just stuff like that. Why America runs on Dunkin'. They have a secret ingredient, a little bit of crack in every cup of coffee,
Right.
So that type of thing. I wrote a song about it called Dunkin'. And don't drink it black because their sugar is crack. Dunkin', it's Eric Clapton's cocaine. So just observational stuff. But my show is it's 90 minutes. It's one man. So what I do is I have 3 openers, but they're people in the audience. What I do is I say, hey, listen, has anybody ever said that you're funny? You should be a comedian. I said, I'm going to give you a chance to win $20. I hold up a 20. I used to do it different. I used to do like a 20 and a 10 and a 5 to get people up there. But then I thought, look, not everybody's a winner, okay? I'm not doing this. Everybody's a winner. You're going to fight for $20, okay? My audience applause. We vote for the best joke and stuff. So I get people to come up, they tell a joke, and then I tell my joke, and I start the show. So it's 30 minutes of stand-up, it's 45 minutes of musical parodies, and then I do 15 minutes of so it's 2 of my funny songs. I end it with superheroes. I get all the funny out of the way, and then I hit them with Superheroes, which is a song that I wrote to honor America's military and veterans. By the way, happy 250th birthday to the Marine Corps League. Love you guys, Semper Fi. And so, it's so funny. You mentioned the cake and everything, right? Well, the cake, the frosting, the coloring is made out of crayons. So, it's crayon frosting. So, but I do I throw some impressions in there. Sometimes I'll do a little Rodney Dangerfield, stuff like that.
No respect.
Yeah, I'll tell you, I get no respect at all. I'll tell you, my wife, she's a bad driver. She just hit a tree. She said it wasn't her fault. She beeped the horn.
Right. So funny story about Rodney Dangerfield. We usually do a Sunday dinner over at my wife's parents' house, and they've got a little media room, and we watch movies on Sunday nights. And my wife had never seen Back to School with Rodney Dangerfield, and so we introduced her to Back to School, Caddyshack, and we had to show her Rodney Dangerfield, and that dude is a class act all the way around. Hilarious.
Yeah.
So
it's really funny. I played his club 10 years ago, maybe. It was so surreal that I'm playing Dangerfields in New York City, but I just wanted to break out a little. I love Caddyshack, one of my favorite movies.
Oh yeah.
And, hey, I'll tell you, this is worst looking hat I've ever seen. You buy a hat like that, I bet you get a free bowl of soup. And then he sees Ted Knight. Looks good on you, though. But I love that movie. But he's one of my favorite comedians for sure. The one-liners and all that stuff. But I did a show in Buffalo, New York. And I had a couple of guys open up for me, and then I did about an hour. I don't know, it's about an hour 10, hour 15, and then I get done with my show, and people are just still sitting there, and I'm like, "What are you doing?" And they're like, "We want more," So I'm like, "How about I just do a few minutes of Rodney Dangerfield?" And they're like, "Yeah." So I did 5 minutes of Rodney, just one after the other, and it was they loved it, man. I said you can go home now, but. Just stuff like, hey, I'll tell you, I know my wife cheats on me. Every time I come home, the parrot says quick out the window, But, and it was just one after the other, man,
Yeah. Yeah, he's definitely a great comedian. But look, we're going to take a quick break. We're going to watch we do a music video here, and we're going to got one queued up for Veterans Day tomorrow. But when we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about your fundraising efforts, right? That goes into veteran suicide. We'll talk about your website and all that, how people can help raise awareness, raise funds for that. So we'll be right back after these messages.
It's the guts and it's the glory. 100 stripes, 100 stories. It's the Pledge of Allegiance on the 4th of July. It's them handwritten letters from home. It's them sleepless nights alone. It's his newborn baby he left with his wife. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's a line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Hey. From the fields of Indiana to the swamps of Louisiana to the golden coast of California, Uncle Sam's the only family he's got. His purple heartbeat won't stop. And his 18th birthday was the day he was born. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down, here's the light. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on the front line. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, pay the ultimate price. Oh. He was the man of the house when he was born. His family is proud but torn. But if you knew him, you would understand. He was raised on how to be brave, just to see the flag still wave. And then he came home with only one hand. 'Cause Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down here to lie. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, stand on these front lines. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, he'll pay the ultimate price. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, lay down his life. Mr. Red, White, and Blue, for these stars and stripes. March in line, march in line. Hey. Hey.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're back on Full Speed Ahead. And if you are living under a rock and don't know who that was Coffee Anderson with Red, White, and Blue for tomorrow's Veterans Day. Today, the Marine Corps birthday. Happy birthday, guys, from your daddy, the Navy. Call me when you need a ride somewhere. So if you don't know Coffee Anderson, I tell you what, check out that song. But he does another version of that song with Drew Jacobs, and it is more of a rock version. And so if y'all viewers have not listened to that, definitely go check that out. Before we left, we were talking with Mike about how he got into comedy and fundraising for veterans and suicide. So we're going to get more into this side now. Mike, about you said somebody said you need to raise money, right? And you said veterans, suicide. How did you get into that instead of some other sort of veteran thing? Why veteran suicide?
It's just heartbreaking for me, man. Like this is my philosophy. Like, you guys served, okay? You should be taken care of, okay? And working with the CMI Veterans Outreach Center, I remember going to the center a few times. I did a few shows for them. And so one time they brought in a lady from the electric company, gas company, and she was calling up veterans using their place of business and calling them and saying, what can we do to help you, take care of your bill? How about the electric company just takes care of it, right? We're just going to wipe out your bill. You're a veteran. We're going to help take care of it. And my heart broke. And I remember one night I went to the center and there was a Vietnam veteran there. And he said, they had a food pantry. And he said, can you believe it, man? They don't even have a bar of soap in their pantry. He said, I'm going to go without a meal tonight. And I said, no, you're not, man. I said, I'm going to buy you a meal tonight. I'm going to take care of you. So stuff like that just broke my heart. And one of the saddest stories I heard, I mean, they're all sad, but I did a show at a local American Legion. By the way, I'm a son of the Legion. And so I'm talking to the commander and the manager there after the show, and they said that there was an 85-year-old Vietnam vet. And, he wasn't terminally ill or anything like that. Just one night he grabbed his pistol and just shot himself. And I think about like all the years, because Vietnam was like late 60s, right? All the years, all the decades that he carried all that stuff with him. And just, I can't even imagine. So I've talked to a lot of veterans at my shows, and I did a show in Delaware. I talked to a bunch of guys in Delaware. We were talking about the topic. And I said, this is I was never in war, but people go through things in their life that are just horrific, right? So my wife and I went through a period of 7 years where it was just infertility. We lost babies, miscarriage, ectopics, and all that. And 2002, she was pregnant for a quadruplet. So now we're expecting 2 boys, 2 girls. You go from the saddest time of your life, the lowest pit, years of just like, I'm going to be a dad, I'm not going to be a dad, to this is our promise. This is it, And at 22 weeks, they were born prematurely, and I watched my 4 babies, my firstborn son, my firstborn daughter, secondborn son, secondborn daughter, be born and pass away. And I was helpless. I couldn't do anything, but literally 40 fingers and 40 toes. And and guys that are military guys are just like, dude, those are your kids. That's your family, man. And I said, it was horrific. So I can kind of, the post-traumatic stress that came from that, man. And a couple years after that, I'm just like, you're in a pit. You're in a pit. I remember like just, we got into a house because it was like 7 bedrooms on one side and then a couple of rental units on the other side. And it was talk about your fixer-upper, it's a fixer-upper, right? And our church was like, we're going to help you and all that kind of stuff. Back then they had Extreme Makeover Home Edition. We'll get you submitted to that. They'll come and fix the house up. You have all these dreams, and then you go to the hospital with 4 babies and you leave with none, and we didn't even know what to do. We, thank God for our church, because we had no clue what to do. I remember looking outside. We're in a brand new neighborhood and people are going on with their life. And I'm thinking, how can people go on with their life when I am crushed inside? Just crushed, And I remember sometimes I would just take a notebook and I would just I had a bunch of pages in it, and I would literally take a marker, Josh, a permanent marker, and just write the word help on that and hold it up to God. I'm like, I need help, man. I need help, And so we went to counseling, bereavement group. And so I got all, guys are so strong. Okay. We're men, we don't cry and all that kind of stuff. Unless somebody drops a piano on our foot, whatever. Okay. Which is okay. Or unless your team wins the World Series, it's okay to cry then.
Right. Right.
So I just pushed all that stuff. And as guys, we pushed all that stuff down. And then my wife said to me, she's like, you want to go to bereavement group in Syracuse? I'm like, I got out Chicano, man. I was like, I don't need no stinking bereavement group, little did I know I needed a bereavement group. So we go there.
Yeah.
There's another couple there. The guy is like, looks so sad, man. He was a huge guy. Like, I'm telling you, my friend Bill, because we're still friends with him, 6X clothing, dude. 6X. Wow. That's a big dude, right?
Yeah.
And his clothing comes with tent stakes. Okay. You could like literally make a tent out of it. So they tell the story about how they had twin boys. They were stillborn. They died in the womb. And, you know, and I could tell they were just distraught. They were just so hurt, man. And then we tell the story about our quadruplets, and he breaks down and just starts crying. He's like, how can anybody go through with this? How can anybody deal with this, man? You know? And the peer-to-peer counseling that some groups offer, I know the VA, God bless them, they're doing better. Okay. They're doing better. They offer counseling, whatever. Yeah. But what's really important with veteran suicide awareness and prevention is you get a peer-to-peer counselor who will take you from, I can't deal with this, to like, I can breathe, I can function, I can think, you know. And there's been a lot of different organizations, a lot of people that have come through. The PTSD Foundation, okay, in Texas, Camp Hope in Houston. Yep. I did some fundraising for them, and they take guys through a 10-day program. Literally takes you from night to day. Okay, so I recommend anybody. I know it's like $144 a day. It's $1,440 for the 10 days, but just guys, ask for help, man. Just say, I need help. I need help. And a lot of these guys get saved. They become a born again Christian. They're you know, God was huge in my life. I mean, we've got 2 girls now, and you know, God gave us beauty for ashes. They're amazing girls. I mean, because you at that point we're like, are we ever going to have children? We've lost 9. And wow. So, but you know, things fortunately worked out for us. But yeah, I mean, it's very important, man, to get the help that you need. My mission, my goal is to take 22 a day to 0 a day. Yeah. I'm not going to stop until I do that. I'm really fighting for the national platform with my music because I want to. Well, think about this. I have Irish Siri, okay, on my cell phone. All right, Josh, do not download female Irish Siri. I'll say to her 10 times, "Hey Siri," she won't answer me. And well, she will now, right? She will now.
Yeah.
But I'll say to her 10 times, "Hey Siri," and then finally she'll come on and say, "What can I help you with?" And I'm like, "Sober up, check into rehab. You're Irish, okay?" And so I asked her. I said, "And you're going to probably tell me there's more. There's more." But I said, "How many veterans are there in America?" Her response is 18 million. Okay, whether that's true or not, I don't know.
Yeah.
But let's say that, let's say there's 18 million. Yep. All I need for my album to unconventionally go gold, okay, is I need 3% of the veterans in America to buy my album. Okay, it's I got it in CD form. Who knows if anybody still has CD players or not? You know, people are coming back. They're like, you know, hey, I bought a record player, you know, and just nostalgic or whatever, you know, make an album, which I could do, and. But you can get it on my website digitally. There's the album. You got it up there. And it's $15. So listen, if 3% buy it, that's 500,000 copies sold. It makes it a gold record. That means 20% goes to Stop Soldier Suicide. So that's $1,620,000 that goes to that organization. But it gives me a few million to donate to Tunnel to Towers, you know, or you know, some of these other organizations. Be the One, American Legion, right? And so I want to donate a bunch of that, but also I want to set up, you know, either concerts or whatever that is, and I want the national platform to raise not only awareness for veterans, but I want to raise money for veterans. I don't want a veteran homeless, hungry, without medicine. There's the hats and shirt. Without medicine, without access to medical attention, and certainly struggling with PTSD. That's so huge. And my goal, literally, and I need to build an army of people that are going to help me. Just even spread the word for me. However you can support me, buy tickets to my shows. The show was hilarious. And then I want 22 a day to be 0 a day. And then that's when I move on to, mental health issues and people that are homeless in general or hungry. I mean, I want to see people well. So spiritually, emotionally, physically, financially, and mentally, I want people well. And that's it's just my heartbeat, man.
I hear you. You mentioned the VA is getting better, and I agree with it. They're getting better. They're not there yet. So it's these groups like Tunnels to Towers. It's Stop Soldier Suicide, Irreverent Warriors. All these groups. Those are where we're really getting the good help, right? Those are the people that we're able to get with and get us that one-on-one or that group setting. And so it's those people that we need to do this fundraising for and send that into, because at least then we know what it's going to go towards. If we give money to the VA, there's no idea what the VA is going to do with it. So, from me, thank you for, doing what you're doing and giving back to, the veteran groups. So, with that, everybody, if you're just now tuning in, go to countrymike.com. That's country with a K. You can catch all his albums on there. You can catch his merchandise. Like you said, 20% goes back into the veteran suicide awareness. So with that, you've got a new song out, right? Just in time for Veterans Day.
Yeah. So my album, I released it March 7th, and initially 2 years ago, Shania Twain's ex-husband Mutt Lange was going to produce my album. He loved one of my songs called Skinny Jeans. My album is a little bit funny. It's a whole lot of country. Skinny jeans, like the premise of that song is people who are skinny have the right to wear those. The rest of us, we have other options. Okay. Straight leg, cut, relax, fit, so they don't split when you sit, And then I got a song called Silent But Deadly about a guy that goes to yoga with his wife and he gets behind a lady who's just gassy, but they're silent but deadly. And so I never planned, Josh, on being a country music artist. I never planned on being a comedian or a country music artist. And so somebody had challenged me at a show. They said, like, you got parodies and all that. Do you have any original songs? And I'm like, I don't, And so I said, let me just try to write a song. And I wrote Silent But Deadly. I'll just play a little bit of it for you, right? And then so it goes like this. I went to yoga with you because you asked. What happened was unexpected. First downward dog, I'm seeing someone's ass. And all of a sudden she farted. Now I'm holding my breath, trying not to laugh, 'cause everyone's looking at me. They don't know why I'm laughing till I cried, 'cause it was silent but deadly. So I wrote that song and I'm like, oh my God, it's country. And then I said, let me try another one. So I wrote Skinny Jeans, and it goes, skinny people wear skinny jeans. And the rest of us, Josh, full-figured people, well, you know what I mean. Straight leg, boot cut, relax fit. That's so they don't split when you see it. Skinny people wear skinny jeans. So I wrote another song. It's called, it's called Stuff Like This, about funny stuff that happens to us all the time. And then I said, you know what? Let me just try writing some straight up country songs and all that stuff. So I'm sleeping. I woke up. I get this tune in my head. It doesn't sound like much, but it goes. I've never woken up remembering a song or a dream. I just don't do that. But I heard da-na-na-na-na-na-na, and I woke up before coffee. I don't know if you're a coffee drinker or not. Before coffee, I'm a bull in a china shop, right? I'm running downstairs trying to grab my guitar. My hair's looking like Medusa. My wife's like, what the heck are you doing, man? You're a madman. I said, I got to find my guitar and get this tune down. So what I did was I figured this out. At that moment, I felt God say, this is for veterans and troops. And I said, if that's the case, I need the words for it. So this song is called Superheroes. And, Love you, veterans. And so this is for you guys and anybody out there that's in the military currently. Here we go. They felt it was right, even though they might fight for a country they love, blessed by God above. They joined the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines. Then they flew off to basic training. Bravest of the brave, not counting the cost. Some paid the highest price, their lives were lost. Live or die, so we can be free. Not superheroes, but superheroes to me. They worked the jobs, they gave their all, knowing someday they might be called to fight for people on a foreign land. The Middle East, Afghanistan. The bravest of the brave, not counting the cost. Some pay the highest price, their lives were lost. Live or die, so we can be free. Not superheroes, but superheroes to me. When they got home, there was no parade. No one was fitting, given the price that they paid. Often forgotten, let's not forget these brave men and women, our troops and our vets. Come on, all of you, give it up for our veterans and our troops. The bravest of the brave, not counting the cost. We pay the highest price, their lives were lost. Live or die, so we can be free. Not superheroes, but superheroes to me. Bravest of the brave, not counting the cost. Some paid the highest price, their lives were lost. Live or die, so we can be free. Not superheroes, but superheroes to me. Not superheroes, but superheroes to me. Not superheroes, but superheroes to me. Love you, veterans. Love you, troops.
God, that's awesome.
Thank you, man.
That's an awesome song.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
We're gonna have to talk to the powers that be at MB Radio here and see if we can't get that on here to our shows and whatnot, and push it out there. You know, we'd be happy to have that on here.
Yeah, that'd be awesome, man. So it's right on my right on my website. Track number 8, Superheroes, the full studio production with drums, bass, electric, and acoustic. And my voice is a little. I'm a little hoarse, and I had a show Saturday and. I sang, you sing your heart out for an hour and something. Then they had karaoke, and they're like, Mike, you got to sing karaoke. I'm like, oh, God, So it's a lot of coughing today. And, I'm got to be pumping the water and all that stuff. But, there's a whole regimen, with your voice. It's like I do the Ricola, drops. And I drink this tea. It's like, like a singer's tea that really helps your throat and all that stuff. You got to do warm-up exercises, which you did not do today. You do like these sirens. You like, you like stretch out your vocal cords and all that stuff. But I did none of that today, and I'm hoarse, So,
it sounded great either way. So I
appreciate
it.
That.
So look, we got, everybody, we got a couple minutes left before we shut down here at 8:00 on Monday night. So, Mike, I want to give you the next couple of minutes to just kind of speak from your heart and shout out a message, whatever you want to do. The floor is yours right now.
Yeah. So, folks, I need to put together an army, just an army of people. Josh, this is what I think, man. It's like you guys served, right? And, the key to comedy is timing. The key to life sometimes is timing. It's time that we as civilians served you guys, okay? And so I want to bring awareness to veterans, man. I mean, it breaks my heart if a veteran is homeless, they're hungry, they're struggling with PTSD. Those are the main things. And please, you can do something as simple as you see somebody with a veteran's hat on, thank them for their service, okay? Anytime you see them, just say, thank you so much for your service. It means a lot to them. It really does, If you can help them out, like I was down in Greenville, South Carolina, and I was on tour with another guy with the Big and Tall Comedy Tour, and we're in Waffle House. We don't have Waffle Houses in the north part of America. It's like such a travesty, right?
Yeah.
So we're sitting there enjoying some good food. You guys have Waffle Houses in Texas?
Oh, we got them on every street corner. It's like a church down here. They're everywhere.
Nothing in New York, upstate New York, right? So.
Yeah.
My friend notices this guy. He's a veteran. He's going up to pay for his bill. He goes, listen. He goes, dude, take some money out of the tour, pay for the guy's meal. And so I caught the waitress's attention. I go, his bill's on us, right? So he goes to pay. He was an older guy with his wife and stuff, and goes to pay. She goes, you're all set, sir. And he said, what? She said, no, I got to pay. She said, no, someone took care of it for you. Dude, the look on his face, I mean, he was tearing up, whatever. Even in your lack, okay, you don't have to have a lot of money to be a philanthropist, okay? I donate 20% of my merchandise. I donate 60% of the ticket sales that come in for a show to the organization, to the VFW, American Legion, whatever that is. Literally, I've probably raised $250,000 so far for different organizations, combined, heading towards 300,000. I think I'm over 300,000 now, but, I want to give back, I want to give out of my money, out of my lack. I'm not, I'm just, I'm a working man, and hoping for that national platform, but go to Facebook. If you're on Facebook, it's Country with a K, Kountry Mike. You'll see me holding up a veterans or superhero shirt. Friend request me. I almost did a Elmer Fudd. Friend request me, and so then just you can see like my tour dates that'll be coming up. I'm hoping to be in a city near you. I travel all over the country. I've been to Kansas, Texas, California, the Midwest. I've been down south. I've been all over the Northeast. So hopefully I'll be at a show near you. But even just supporting me, I'm hoping to do maybe a Patreon where I donate 50% of that to the Stop Soldier Suicide and just take 50%. I don't care about money. What I care about is helping veterans. So that's my heart. Join my mission, and that's to take the mission's 22-0. And go on my website, sign up my mailing list, send a message to me, contact me through my website, and I love to connect with people, man. I love people. And that's about awesome. That's my soapbox.
That's your spiel, huh?
Yeah.
All right, Mike. Well, I appreciate you coming on Full Speed Ahead, sharing your story, your comedy, your music, especially your new song. If you're looking for shows in North Texas, let me know. I'll hook you up with the VFWs around town, around Fort Worth. Sure. We'll get you set up somewhere down here. And I look forward to hearing from you some more, man. I can't wait to hear more songs from you. So thanks again. I hope you have a great time, and good luck with the tour.
Awesome. Yeah, thanks, man.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it from Mike himself. Not only is he a comedian and a veteran supporter, he's a philanthropist in his own way, giving back to veteran suicide awareness, right? 20% of his proceeds are going to veteran suicide awareness. He doesn't have to do that. A lot of musicians don't do that. A lot of people don't do that. Take the money himself and run. But he does what he does to help veterans because that's what's in his heart. You heard him. He's had a lot of loss, a lot of grief in his life, but he's still giving back to the people that fought and served. So thanks again to Mike for coming on the show. You can find him at Kountry Mike, countrywithak.com. Find his merchandise, his tour dates, everything on there. As I said earlier in the show, and everybody already knows this, it's Veterans Day tomorrow. We're going into the holidays. This is a tough time for all of our veterans, right? Because a lot of them may not have that family to come back to. They're serving overseas. They can't come to their family. Maybe they're alone somewhere, right? So be that guy, be that person that reaches out, ask them, how are you doing? Let me buy you a cup of coffee. If you can't do that, go volunteer a little bit of time down at the VFW, the American Legion, wherever. I know there's a lot of groups around this time that are giving back veterans meals. I know at my VFW, we're having veterans Thanksgiving, and we're going to be donating some turkeys and food and stuff and cooking that up for the veterans on Thanksgiving, that, for the ones that don't have anywhere else to go. So if you want to donate some food or money to those kind of places, I'm sure they'll be happy to have it. But all through the holidays, it's a tough time. Food, homeless veterans need jackets, need clothes, need medicine, simple as a drink. So be sure to look out for them. As you heard already tonight, Mike's doing this to go from 22 to none. As we know, the number for veterans is 22 veterans commit suicide every day. But when you factor in law enforcement and just the general population, we're closer to 30 people a day. And that's still way too many, whether you're a veteran, whether you're a civilian, first responder. Suicide is never the answer. That is just a permanent solution to a temporary fix. Things go on, things happen. You can move on, you can do better, you can be better. And like you heard earlier, guys don't like to ask for help, but it's okay to ask for help. You're not going to get through this alone. There's people out there. There's always people around that are going to be able to reach out and help you. But all you have to do is ask for that help, and somebody will. So I'll leave you with that message like I do every week. It's okay to ask for help. It's going to be fine. We'll see you in a couple of weeks on Full Speed Ahead. I am, I'm back next week. Next week is actually my birthday show, so we're going to have a special guest on for that. And then the following week for Thanksgiving, I will be off for that show. So I'll be spending time with the family. So catch you next week, next Monday, 7 p.m. Central, right here on Full Speed Ahead. After battle, again, go like, subscribe, share, do all those things. Get the message out there. We'll see y'all later. Have a great night.
Justice Jackson, they captured Herman Goring alive.
Tell me about him.
He's the face of the Nazis. I'm gonna put Goering on trial.
Ever escapes the hangman's noose.
Very sure of yourself.
No man has ever beaten me.
Goering has to fall.
You don't just have to win, you have to be flawless.
You're walking into a trap.
Knowing what we know now, would you still follow Adolf Hitler?
Nuremberg, rated PG-13, now playing only in theaters.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to Military Broadcast Radio. As we wrap up today's show, we want to remind you that the podcast of today's episode will be available right after we go off the air. So if you missed any part of the show or want to listen again, be sure to check it out. And remember, we're here to support and honor our veterans. Your stories and experiences matter, and we are committed to giving you a platform to share them. That's right. We're here to give our veterans a voice. So don't forget to catch the podcast and stay connected with us. Giving our veterans a voice.